Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build Grenada, Cargo, and Petite Martinique together. That's the call. Come, let us build and not break. Let us enhance and not try to derail the transformation of our country. Let us try our very best to make this place better for not just us, but our children and children. Let us work diligently to make this place better than we met it. We can do it. Yes, we can. I want to welcome you to the Dynamic Hour. Again, this is an opportunity that you and I have to converse, to talk, using radio and social media to connect. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. When you share, you give your friends on your page the opportunity to be a part of the audience, to be a part of the conversation. I want to start off this morning with some positive news because many a times you are introduced audio clock to negativity on a daily basis. You wake up and it's just negative, negative, negative. That can actually spoil your day, spoil your mood, and everything else. So let us start off with some positive news because I believe it's a new dispensation. We need to at least move into that direction. The livestock farmers assistance is coming to you.
Material support for housing or pen repairs. So a list of those things would include galvanized, hurricane straps, guttering lumber, tanks, nails, screws, cement and steel. And that cement and steel would be for mostly our poultry farmers, because I know from our assessment, most of the farmers who lost birds were due to drowning, and it's because of poor drainage. So a couple of the farms have not so much good drainage, so we can assist them in providing, or not providing, but constructing proper box drains that would be able to remove a lot of the waters in time of serious rain and flooding, and in the event that we do have another hurricane, because we're still in the hurricane season. It's still very new in the hurricane season. So I think this is a really good initiative, especially for our poultry farmers, because post-burial we'll actually start seeing the effects. As we know, there's quite a bit of requests to import some eggs, so we know a couple of our farmers would have taken a hit during burial, especially.
Right, so livestock farmers assistance is coming to you, especially the people who are located in Carriacou, Petite Martinique, St. Patrick, who are directly affected by Hurricane Beryl. So you will be given assistance to get back on your feet again. And that to me is commendable. Again, we're sticking with positive news because I want you to be on that page, right? Being positive, appreciating what the government is doing. Project Pristine.
Continuing the news, the Grenada government has launched an initiative aimed at managing the significant amount of waste generated by Hurricane Beryl in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Project Pristine will be spearheaded by the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority with support from the Ministries of Climate Resilience and Infrastructure Development. The project was officially introduced during a media briefing on Thursday morning. Assistant Communications Officer of the Solid Waste Authority, Nikolai Boyk, described the project as a multi-sector collaborative effort focused on the collection, storage, and disposal of waste. Temporary collection sites have been identified to facilitate the separation of the waste, and the project is set to run for an initial 3-month period. Boyk provided details on the operational process.
The Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with the stakeholders involved, have established temporary debris storage sites. And I'd like to stress on the word temporary debris storage sites. This will be 5 playing fields in Carriacou and 1 in Petite Martinique. These storage sites will be used for the processing of certain waste types. There are certain waste types which I mentioned. These waste types, they have some value to them, such as the metal waste. This will either be crushed or strapped and shipped off island, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, to mainland Grenada, which will be sent out for recycling purposes. The green waste, that's the tree limbs and the branches, this will pass through an industrial wood chipper where it will produce mulch, what we commonly call black gold compost, which can be used for agricultural purposes. It can also be used to enhance the aesthetics of your surroundings or put into potted plants. And this must not be mistaken with the treated lumber and the painted boards. Yes, you might say they're board, they come from trees. However, there are chemicals in them, so this will not be mixed with the natural green waste. Instead, the construction and demolition waste which they fall under, this can be used for construction projects such as backfilling. And obviously we have the hazardous waste types, certain hazardous waste types which we have to account for. This will be sent to the landfill where it will be properly processed or disposed of. Right. For this project to be a success, the government of Grenada has contracted 7 teams in Carriacou and 2 in Petite Martinique. These teams are divided into zones which will stretch from the northern, the southern, the eastern, and western parts of both Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and they will be engaged in the cleanup process, the collection process, and the transportation of these items to the temporary debris storage sites.
Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government, Honorable Tevin Andrews, expressed satisfaction in the launch of Project Pristine, noting that waste collection and removal have long been significant challenges on the sister isles.
Yes, so again, just saying, Project Pristine is going nicely in Carriacou, and we got an update from a piece Rena Mills did, where at least 2 of the supervisors, contractors, people in charge, they explain what they have been able to accomplish, what they were able to get done within the space of time, from start to now, from the start of the project to now. And so far, so good. Carriacou is looking cleaner and more welcoming. So again, kudos to the government of Grenada for such an initiative. Let us move to another positive thing. The government, they will be rolling out that payout to farmers, right? That payout to farmers very soon. Let me get that information here. Right, so let me get it.
World Food Program conducted a series of consultation to determine the best fit for this country in terms to provide the correct response. The program is expected to allow the beneficiary household to meet their basic monthly needs.
Right, so that's a different.
We had started the.
Right, so that's a different subject matter, but it's important to highlight that the support given to a number of people in Carriacou.
Payments, the cash transfer in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Then we move on to St. Patrick, and now in the coming weeks we will move to St. John's and St. Max to provide us the needed support as needed. Now, I would like to say that 801 persons, beneficiaries, benefited in St. Patrick's, And also, we're hoping to have additional support to the other affected areas coming. The
Right.
Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Gender Affairs has established a partnership with UNICEF to support the early childhood units in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, which was severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl. The ministry has secured a grant of $8,000, which is approximately 21,360 EC dollars, to expand the unit's reach and impact to benefit a greater number of children in need of essential care and support. The ministry procured age-appropriate educational materials such as posters, early childhood development kit, activity books, among others. This initiative primarily benefits children enrolled in private child care centers, home-based care arrangements. The Ministry of Social Development benefited from grant funding. The Minister had mentioned a few. Initially, we got $220,500 from World Food Program. Later on, we get another $264,000 and another $51,000.
Right. So that's very good. All right. You're assisting the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique there. But I was telling you about the farmers, because the government intends to roll out that during this week or next week, I think. Next week. I am looking here for that.
World Food Program conducted a series of consultations to determine the best fit for this.
For that video. I'm looking for that video because I had it earlier, just not able financial support, not able to throw my hands on it at this point in time. All right, let me see this one.
Agriculture and Lands, Forestry and Marine Resources will begin distributing its Hurricane Beryl Response Incentive Package totaling over $11 million next week. During a media briefing on Friday, ministry officials outlined the details of the initiative. The package includes one-off payments of up to $9,000 and material support to help affected farmers recover and rebuild. Farms smaller than 5 acres will receive $4,500, while those larger than 5 acres will be granted $9,000. This aid aims to support farmers as they work on replanting efforts following significant damage to over 80% of the country's agriculture. The package also targets the fresh produce sector and seedlings nurseries. Approximately 4,000 farmers, primarily from St. Patrick, St. Andrew, and St. Mark, are slated to benefit from this support. Acting Chief Extension Officer Lawrence St. Louis emphasized the importance of providing accurate banking information to ensure a smooth distribution process.
We are asking that when you provide the information, that you are specifically careful as to the numbers. We know that sometimes with numbers, people might leave out 10, they might add in something. You have to be extremely careful, because if your bank account number is not provided properly, then most likely your incentive will be paid to an incorrect bank account, and then it is a very, very difficult process to reverse that. So when you're giving us the information, try your best to provide us with accurate information as much as possible. Those of you who do not have a bank account, or you prefer not to receive your money in your bank account, you can also indicate to us that you would like to collect your money at an Inland Revenue Office, and we will also do that.
Livestock farmers, fishers, and beekeepers will also benefit from material support under the Hurricane Beryl Response Incentive Package. Acting Chief Vet and Livestock Officer Dr. Kimon Cummins provided additional details on the support being offered to these groups.
I would, like to announce that next week on the 19th, we're expecting a container of feed substitute for our bee farmers. It's pollen substitute. It's about 75 bags. Each bag is about 90 pounds. So we're expecting to collect that next week and most likely have it being distributed to our farmers. Because as we speak, our farmers are in dire need because there's no flowers outside. So our beekeepers are in dire need of feed replacement for the bees. At some point next week, we're hoping, next week Wednesday, I'm hoping, time to be announced. We should be handing over some smokers, extractors, brood boxes, frames, wax sheet to our beekeepers. We have just finished procuring about 300 boxes, frames, excluders, replacement feed again, wax sheet for our beekeepers. This would also be distributed. For our pig farmers, at some point Thursday, date again to be announced. We will have some feed distribution for our pig farmers, mostly in the east, northeast area, northeast and northern part of the island that was severely affected by Hurricane Beryl. With respect to the Beryl compensation package, as Mr. Louis alluded earlier, our farmers will be getting material support for housing or pen repairs. So a list of those things would include galvanized, hurricane straps, guttering, lumber, tanks, nails, screws, cement and steel. And that cement and steel would be for mostly our poultry farmers, because I know from our assessment, most of the farmers who lost birds were due to drowning. And it's because of poor drainage. So a couple of the farms have not so much good drainage, so we can assist them in providing, or not providing, but constructing proper box drains that would be able to remove a lot of the waters in time of serious rain and flooding, and in the event that we do have another hurricane, because we're still in the hurricane season. It's still very new in the hurricane season.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Isaac Bagwan, spoke on the initiative's role in maintaining food security. He highlighted the government's responsibility to support the agricultural sector during such crises, underscoring the importance of this aid in safeguarding the nation's food supply.
While we say farming is a business and is a private business, we do understand that some farmers need some support, and hence the response. Because as was mentioned before, a number of the farm plots have been damaged. So Mr. Lula have explained that we would have responded by providing support with farm labor support to clear up the lands, to clear the access road. We are now in the process of providing planting material for those who would have lands have been cleared, and we have also hired additional chainsaw gangs, private chainsaw gangs, to be able to expedite that process. So the quicker we could get the lands cleaned and ready for planting, the better it is in terms of us being able to respond and to be able to provide for food security. Of course, we know that for the cash crops, we'll be able to get, once farmers will have planted, and so within 3 months' time, 4 months' time, we should be able to have cash crops available for consumption. Of course, root crops would take a bit longer, and the other crops would take even longer as it relates to cocoa and nutmeg. So it is an immediate response in
Yes, so thank you very much there, Isaac Bagwan and the team. I think you all are doing a fantastic job. And still, the ANP will say, well, they're not doing anything. The government not this and the government not that. You realize that the government is operating with a plan, because the PS there spoke also about the farm labor support program, where they're providing labor, they're paying for labor for farmers. They also have people with chainsaws, gangs, right, going out there and assisting the farmers to cut all the fallen trees and so on. They're also providing plant support, right? They're providing them with plants to replant what was lost. This is important, very, very important. But again, the NNP will be out there telling you that the government is not doing anything. That is how they roll. That is what they're accustomed to. So again, I want to commend the government of Grenada for that.
A major role in ensuring that students from Carriacou and Petite Martinique who are attending the T.A. Marshall Community College, St. George's University, and other universities abroad are well supported in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. During a recent visit to the islands, Minister for Education, Senator Honorable David Andrews, said that student support package is now available. It includes a $1,200 book allowance and $2,000 to assist with accommodation and transportation. The Ministry of Education is also providing uniform assistance to all students on both islands. Parents are asked to submit their children's information to the school's principals. The reopening of schools on the Sister Isles continues to be of immense concern. While repair work has started on Hillsborough Government School and Bishop's College, 4 schools are still being utilized as shelters. An official announcement on the reopening of schools will be forthcoming. Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell accompanied the Education Minister and Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs and Local Government, Honorable Tevin Andrews, and recently toured the schools under repair.
Right, and the Minister of Education, I think sometime this morning, he will be addressing the press as to the reopening of school in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. All right, so a lot is happening for Carriacou and Petite Martinique and for St. Patrick, the Build Back Better project that will be launched today in St. Patrick.
At the stage where they just cast all the columns and the ring beams, and so now they are working on the flooring, and from that they'll be working on the roof and boarding up the side of the house one time. The project have approximately 1 more week for the construction to finish, and then we'll go into the painting and the rainwater harvesting and all these other things.
Minister Andy Williams, who heads the Ministry for Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, which is responsible for developing the Build Back Better pilot project with assistance from local engineers. The initiative is aimed at providing hurricane-resistant housing throughout Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, with primary focus on those affected by Hurricane Beryl. The model houses, measuring 27 by 22 feet, built with a wooden structure reinforced by a concrete frame, are designed to enhance resilience by stabilizing the roofing and overall structure.
We saw after Beryl, a lot of the houses got destroyed and it was flattened, and also those that were not flattened, the roof was disturbed. Now this project is addressing those two situations. Number one, when you have a concrete frame, it doesn't matter how strong the wind blows, the column will keep the house up. And number two, we are doing something called a parapet roof, and that roof is somewhat hurricane resistant. So the project is going according to plan. It takes approximately 3 to 4 weeks to build a unit, and there are 2 bedrooms in the unit, kitchen, living room, and so.
The pilot project will be initially rolled out in St. George and St. Patrick with a target of producing at least 80 houses per month.
And we will engage contractors, local contractors. And, you know, the reason why we are doing this is because we want to really empower or help build those folks who are contracting business locally. And that is what Project Build Back Better is about. Employing our local people, putting money in their pockets while we building resilient structures.
Although the project is aimed at restoring houses that were destroyed by Hurricane Beryl, Minister Williams said MIT is working with the Housing Authority of Grenada, HOG, to make arrangements to ensure that these homes are available to others as well.
So that if someone wants one of these homes and the house was not affected by Beryl, they just want a home, we are working with the Housing Authority of Grenada to put something in place so that people can purchase one of these homes. And again, you would have 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom homes, hurricane resistant, for under $100,000. At the project launch on September 17th, we will tell you exactly what the cost to build the 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom homes will look like.
The Build Back Better project represents a forward-thinking approach to recovery, ensuring that new homes will be more resilient to future natural disasters. For GBN News, Nisha Paul.
Right, so that's a very nice story, a very, very nice story there. And if you want a little update on the model project or house, the house that they actually started building a week or two ago, this is how it looks at this point. All right. And I want to assume that overnight they did some work on it, but this is how the model looks at this point in time. I know they're doing two of the same. All right. Cam, did you? All right. They almost. Okay. All right. So again, just saying that's all right. So that's how it looks at this point. I think they did some work overnight, so it might be even closer to completion than what we are seeing here. So again, that's just a little update on the project. So today, they will officially launch that project. That's the day. They would officially launch the project today. And I want to commend the Honorable Andy Williams and the team. I think they are serious about making sure that as many people as possible who lost their homes due to Hurricane Beryl get one as soon as possible. So when they launch the project today, you can expect within the next month 80 or so houses to be completed or completed, and the next month 80 or so, and they would continue from there. They would keep going from there. Carriacou and Petit Martinique, they launched the Build Back Better project yesterday. So the people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, they would get their homes built a little sooner. So they start off before. We wish them all the best, and we hope that everyone will support such a good initiative, because we want as many families to get back on their feet again. And a good way to start that process is by getting a new home. And it's not just a new house. They're painting it, as you can see there in the picture here. All right. So they're painting. That's the house here. And then they're also providing plumbing and electrical work, right? Installation, whatever you want to call it. They will be doing the plumbing and electrical in the houses too. So, and they would be given a modern bathroom and toilet facility. So it's not just building a shell, all right? They're providing nearly everything for the homeowner, for the family who lost their house or home. And that is good, because you want them to be able to just go in there and continue living. All right? So again, I want to commend the government of Grenada and keep doing what you're doing. Yes, you're going to get pushbacks. Yes, there will be obstacles, the NNP and their surrogates and so on. They're out there every day trying to give people the impression that nothing is happening. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Engineers and local contractors will soon be better equipped to rebuild after a disaster. This follows their completion of a one-week workshop organized by the Ministry of National Security, Planning and Development Authority, and the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. The workshop is part of an early recovery capacity building initiative aimed at constructing resilient infrastructure through effective practices. Member of the Planning and Development Authority Board of Directors, Nicole Gillano, told participants that very soon building for a sustainable future will have real meaning with effective implementation of practices. The authority will take deliberate action and monitor building projects to ensure compliance.
Although the code is suitable for the design of all buildings, to expedite the reconstruction after PDA may not necessarily be able to enforce its use for small, single-family domestic accommodation. However, homeowners are encouraged to use the OECS building guidelines published in 2018. These OECS building guidelines should be also listed in the regulation. This will assist homeowners in ensuring compliance when post-construction enforcement occurs. As a guide, during the reconstructive period, all new buildings and all buildings where there are repairs to damage of more than 25% of the pre-burial buildings should be subject to formal building control. Control should be of two types. A, institutional, commercial, and individual buildings should be subject to control by check consultants on behalf of the PDA and in accordance with clauses 104.1 to 104.5 of the OCS Building Code. Other buildings, especially in Carriacou, should be subject to controlled development and will be monitored by officers from the PDA. These officers should be available to review plans, meet with the designers to discuss and agree changes, make field inspections during construction, and advise the builders where necessary on improvements.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Caroline McQuilkin, said following a rapid needs assessment of the housing sector, it became critical to host the workshop. She is optimistic that the workshop will address deficiencies within the housing sector.
It is important to note that a rapid needs assessment was completed on the housing sector, and the findings from this report provided for the implementation of a targeted approach to addressing the deficiencies within the housing sector. This workshop is one such initiative that will hopefully address some identified deficiencies to facilitate rebuilding resilient structures.
The time has come for a swift action towards building more resilient infrastructure to withstand disasters of any strength. That's according to Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, Deputy Executive Director of SEDIMA.
It's obvious that we are experiencing more storms with greater intensity in the Caribbean region. We do not have to look far to understand the level of destruction that comes with them. Therefore, it cannot be business as usual. And there must be changes in construction approaches to be able to build resiliently and minimize future impacts. I'm very much aware of how committed the decision makers of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique are in building and rebuilding resiliently. This was aptly demonstrated by the immediate acceptance of this offer by the Prime Minister and the swift actions by senior government officials to make this event and the other sessions a reality in less than 2 weeks.
SEDIMA has contracted structural engineer Dr. Grenville Phillips to train artisans and contractors. The sessions will conclude September 13th, 2024.
It's easy to just rush and do things, all right? Very easy to just pick up and say, well, let's build this and build that, and just waste money. But when it comes to building back better, you need to train your people. so that they can work with the building codes. And I love that. I really want to commend the government for that approach. So you have the model house, and they are rolling out the Build Back Better project today. So you can go and see the model house. All right? Yeah, so the audio is back now. The audio is back. All right? Audio is back. A while ago, we were not getting audio. So you're back with audio. So thank you very much to the folks who were, so just refresh. The audio is back. So the Build Back Better project will be launched officially today in Grenada. But Carriacou launched yesterday, and they are working towards building at least 50 or so houses within a very short space of time. So they're working towards that. It's not easy because, Carriacou is separated. Carriacou and Petit Martinique is separated by water. From mainland Grenada, you have to get materials up there as quickly as possible. It's not like Grenada. You have so many hardware stores and you could get the materials here. It is not easy for Carriacou and Petit Martinique, but if they're able to construct 50 or so homes within a short space of time, at least between now and December, that would be a major, major achievement. In Grenada, they're aiming at 80 per month. I think 80 per month. So if they can build a good 150 or so homes between now and December, that would be a major, major achievement. It is not easy, but they're going at it. And we must commend the government and support them. We must support them so that they can be successful. Because if they're successful, then families will be happier. They will be in a new home. All right? So let us support them. And I want to say this. You would hear the NNP condemning this project. The NNP is hell-bent on being an obstructionist gang of radicals. What they want is to see bad things happen to this country, in my belief. So we have to continue to support this team. They are not perfect. They will not always get everything right. But we have to support the team. You realize now that those pundits and surrogates of the NNP, they're attacking nurses, they're attacking doctors because they want to paint a bad picture of the healthcare system. The healthcare system is not perfect. Any child or mother who dies during labor is one too much. All right? Or one too many. We don't want that to happen. And no doctor and no nurse would go to work with that intention to see anything of that sort. They don't want any baby to die. They don't want any parent, any mother to die. So don't go there giving people that idea. So what they're doing now, anytime there is some death during delivery, they're out there painting this bad picture because they want people to see nurses and doctors differently. But do not go there with that false idea. Do not go there spreading that kind of information. So you look and you look at some of those pages, right, where to them publishing this thing would get them more likes, would get them more following, would get them more views on their page, because they really want sad stories and bad news. It is sickening. You just check it out. These things happened in the past under previous administrations, both NNP and NDC. We have heard of those things in the past. It's nothing new, but it's very sad. And you have to empathize and sympathize with families who are in mourning and so on. Those things do happen all around the world. But don't tell me that you're going to go there painting that picture that nurses and doctors intentionally doing these things. No. And let me tell you this, nurses would have psychological problems days and weeks and so on after when those things happen. I'm telling you, sleepless nights. They would be waking up during the night. Trauma. I'm telling you, psychosocial effect and problems they would have for a long period of time. But I don't know what these people get out of running with these bad news and bad stories and putting it out there. What you hoping to achieve? What really you hoping to achieve? I want to know. It is just not right to be publishing these things out there, trying to make the nurses and the doctors look bad, because any day they decide not to work, a lot of us will be in problems. A lot of us would be in problems. They are not perfect, but they are not going to work on a daily basis to see those things happen or to make those things happen, those bad things that they are putting out there. They don't want any baby to die. They don't want any parent to die. They don't want that. They don't. But I'm telling you, this is not by accident. Those publications, the things that they're putting out there seem to be a concerted movement or effort being made by the opposition forces to cause panic, one. Two, to disrupt nearly everything in the country. And three, to cause unrest within Grenada. The opposition forces, they are working overnight to cause unrest, to destabilize the country, to derail nearly everything that's happening good, and they're working at it consistently. So they are paying people to do that, to undermine this country, to destabilize this country. And I am saying we need to prevent that from happening and kick against that. There are too much freedoms in this place, and people are taking their freedom and turning it into something bad because they want to undermine the country. They want to destabilize the country. They want to come back into power. And to come back into power, to them, they need to disrupt everything. They need to undermine everything. They need to break up everything. That is exactly what they are doing. And across the board, not just in healthcare, but education. Not just in education, but in the media too. You're seeing it every day that they're using certain platforms to destabilize the country. That is what they're doing. Nothing positive. They're going after it head on, spending money to destabilize and undermine the country. So you realize that when they have their meetings, they come across as power hungry and thirsty. They want power so much that they're willing to destabilize the country to get it. That is how they come across. In all, corners of Grenada, they are mobilizing their resources to undermine this legitimate government and all the efforts, all the projects, all the programs Look at 460 something young men. They were enrolled into the Empower program. So that program continues. The many initiatives for young men and for women. Look at the amount of young people who are going back to TAMCC now because the government is paying the tuition fee for them to go back and get a college degree. So a lot of things are happening. But again, this rogue regime that were there for 20-something years and party, right? They're rogues. I think they should be disbanded, right? It is just too much. It is just too much. They're working overnight to undermine this government, this legitimate government. So many things are happening, but they're not talking about that. They don't want you to know what the government is doing, the good things that the government is doing. They don't want you to know. They don't.
It was an initial team to do an assessment. It was 3 officers and 5 other ranks. The 8 of us were here, and we did the initial assessment of what would be required for the various projects. When we came here, the projects that were identified for us was the Carriacou Police Station and the Carriacou Revenue and Post Office building. And we had recognized this area here, which we will stay and we will operate from. And by virtue of being here, this was also one of the projects that we would have been upgrading or repairing per se. However, apart from these 3 projects, we've had an additional project added to us, which is the Minister's Office. I think we moved to the Minister's Office, the Minister of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, his office. So we now have 4 projects that we're actively working on. We have done the most work so far on the police station and the Revenue and Post Office building, and we've recently started the Minister's building roof because that was only added to our work last week. I would say that the island has made a lot of progress since. When we got here, there were hardly people around. You could have literally counted the amount of persons who were traversing the streets and moving around. It was basically us and the police and a few essential personnel, like the persons from Sideru and Nadma were moving around, and most of the shops and the business place were closed. Over the past 4 weeks or so on, we have seen a relative amount of normalcy being returned to the island. I think probably, if you ask me, I would say like about 70%. And in response, when we got here as well, things were as they were just after the hurricane. But now, between the past 2 weeks, there have been a lot of cleaning up taking place and so on. Right? I admire the resilience of the people of Carriacou, because some people, their entire homes were destroyed, and they still had somewhat of a positive demeanor. You don't see much depression and anguish in people, and they of course welcome us and express the gratitude.
Yeah, so things are happening in Carriacou and Petit Martinique and in St. Patrick and throughout Grenada. But I asked someone only yesterday, the NNP is condemning this government. They're out there attacking this government every single day. But can we ask the NNP, what would you do differently? What are your plans? What can you do differently to get a better outcome? And I think that is the question we must ask. What will the NNP do differently? Because they were in charge for 23 years and a half. And they never had the foresight or vision to help the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique to strengthen their homes or to change their roofs or to use the building codes to build the new homes and so on. They just allow them to just build as usual, because they never experienced a major hurricane like we did here in Grenada, like Hurricane Ivan and Emily and so on. But I am saying, what would you do differently? So the government of the day, they have given the farmers, they've put on the table incentives for the farmers, for the fishers, for the small businesses and medium-sized businesses. You know about the $25 million that's available at the Grenada Development Bank for small, medium, and large businesses in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Part loan, part grant. They have also removed the taxes on building materials, lumber, cement, steel, blocks, stuff like that, windows, doors, countertops, cabinets, cupboards, closets. They removed the taxes on that. We know about the free barrels program for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and Grenada. They have also forgone the collection of taxes on vehicle parts and machinery for Carriacou. Also, 2025, that's next year, they will be, the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, they would enjoy zero property tax, payment, meaning that they do not have to pay any property tax. Their property tax will be 0.00. 0.00. Nothing. They don't have to pay any property tax. Come 2025, they don't have to pay that. That's a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful thing. Come 2025, they do not have to pay property tax. And they normally pay a lot for property. Because the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, they have a lot of lands, houses, and they don't have to pay any property tax for 2025. Then you have the students of TAMCC and schools in Carriacou who came down to Grenada to continue their education. They are given assistance. We hear about 1,000 something in this, 1,000 something in that. They're given assistance. All right. Then you have those in daycare and that kind of facility. They're given assistance too. Early childhood, this and that. Assistance there. Public officers, they're given assistance to build back their homes. Public officers, material assistance and so on. Then we hear about training for the contractors and artisans and, people involved in construction. They're given training. Then you have the Build Back Better initiative, where they're seeking to build 50 or so houses within a short space of time in Carriacou. And then next year they would continue that. And in Grenada, they're starting off today. So it's a hope that they would build 80 or so homes in a month. So they're working at it. They are working at it. Farmers with 0 to 5 acres of land, they will be getting $4,500. Farmers with more than 5 acres of land getting $9,000. You hear of the livestock farmers getting assistance. The CMOS farmers getting assistance. And we can go on and on and on. So the government is working. The government is doing stuff to help its people. But of course, the NNP will be out there telling you otherwise. The NNP want you to believe that nothing is happening good here in Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And that's not true. A lot of good things are happening, and we must commend this government for what they're doing to help our people. Because remember, all the social safety net programs, they continue, all of them. So kudos to the government. And we must defend our government. We must support government. We must defend our ministers and our prime minister. We must promote what they're doing and support what they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job. They're not perfect. They cannot get everything done one lash, but they're working towards that. And we have to applaud that. We must applaud that. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. Have a nice day. I will be back with you tonight. Yesterday, I went up to Grand Roy. In fact, I came down here about what? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. When I go out on the western side, I tend to be out there for a very long time. All right? So I want to wish